Greetings and konnichiwa, and welcome back to the Onyx Tavern vlog series on Russia Sentai ToQger. Today we are covering Station 15, That Thing in Your Heart. Very simplistic episode, really not much to go ahead and tell, but I will do my best to give interesting commentary on it. Specifically, a new monster, the Hammer Shadow, has the ability to basically tap on your shoulder and manifest the thing in your heart that you desire most, where it becomes a physical manifestation, and then he proceeds to destroy it. Which is kind of odd, because the way it's introduced in the episode is on Glitter, and I'm going to call her Glitter because, you know what? That's actually more appropriate to what's going on in the series than Grita, and I suppose that has something to do with the Japanese pronunciation. Nevertheless, Glitter, her desire, of course, is Schwartz, so the Hammer Shadow uses it on Schwartz, or uses it on Glitter, to make Schwartz appear. And he says if he destroys it, he will erase it from her heart. Now, the implication of that is that she will no longer desire it, and thus she will be free from it. But as we see later in the episode, when the Hammer Shadow uses it 3 times, once on Mio and 2 on some bystanders, they are distraught over it being destroyed, which creates darkness, which the Shadow Line is fueling itself on. So it kind of works both ways, it seems. In the case of Glitter, it's to eliminate that desire from her heart, but when it's used on humans, the elimination of that, just tears them apart and feeds in the darkness. Now, in the episode, he uses it on Mio, the only ToQger he does use it on, and it manifests as a childhood imaginary friend, playmate, doll thing named Mikey. And the whole episode is about Mio trying to keep Mikey safe from the Shadow Line, and what occurs to me be an exploration of her imagination and the way she deals with the situation. Now, the episode actually starts off with the ToQger with Conductor and Ticket Wagon playing miniature golf within the Rainbow Line. And somehow, Conductor has a machine that measures the level of imagination being exerted. First of all, I don't like that idea. The idea that you can quantify imagination like that, it really kind of goes against what the series, I think, is trying to achieve by talking about how glorious imagination is, how necessary it is, and to quantify it seems a bit odd. But for the episode, it points out that Mio has the least amount of imagination amongst the 5 Rangers. And Wright has the most imagination, and Mio has the least amount, and they have a hierarchy. I can't remember it at the moment, but Mio is at the bottom. And what we find is, she has Mikey, she has imagination, but I think what we learn about her is that she doesn't have the least amount of imagination based on this bogus science, is that the idea she suppresses her imagination more. So consider this. From what we've seen in the series so far, of Mio specifically, is that she is stern, she is strong, she doesn't let her emotions get the better of her. We saw when she fell in love with that one guy that she had her duty above what her emotions were. So it seems that it's not that Mio has the least amount of emotion, but she has the imagination. She doesn't have the least amount of imagination, but she is better able to control it. That when she needs it, it's there, it's available, and it's just as powerful as anyone else. But she can suppress it so she can do the things that she needs to do. So when she takes over control of the team from Wright, she's not using as much imagination because she has to be stern and be in control. And when they're looking for Russia on the previous episode, she is in control. She's the serious one, which doesn't lead way for imagination. And that, to me, tells me a couple of things. First of all, I think the implication overall for the series is that as you grow older, you have imagination just as you did as a child in the same amount, again, if we're going to quantify it. But the idea is that you don't use as much, you have to suppress it to become an adult. And I think that's what Mio's doing, because as we go along, I thought Hikari was the most mature of all the characters, but it seems like it's Mio who's becoming the most mature of all the characters. Therefore, since she has the least amount, she's suppressing all of it, being more adult for the entire group. That's at least my theory in there. So I think what's trying to say is, hey, this is what happens to imagination as you get older. You have to go ahead and suppress it for whatever reason. And from what we find from Mio is she has an exploration of it, but she keeps it suppressed not only to be serious, but because she wants to hide something. So the idea is when they create this Mikey, which is this costumed character, it's based off a doll that she had when she was younger, and she was hiding from everybody else, where like Hikari was the one who saw it. And the idea is that either she's embarrassed or she wants to keep the secret to herself. She's a very secretive person in that regard. By the way, these are memories that surfaced again, so we learned something a little bit more about Mio's past, and that the Mikey doll is obviously wherever her hometown is once we ever get there, of course. So that's kind of what this episode is teetering on. It's a character study of Mio, but I think it's more than that. I think it's more than just talk about Mio, because really it's rather pedestrian plot as far as what's going on. But the idea that Mio suppresses her imagination, which again is what my interpretation of the episode is, and that she can be just as powerful, but she has to be serious when she needs to. And I think that's what they're trying to get across with the children, is that dichotomy, is that you have the imagination in hand, all you'll ever need, but you need to suppress it to be an adult, which I think is a good lesson in balancing that, not to give up the imagination, but you need to hold back sometimes for practical reasons. That's what I take from it, and I think that's a good lesson to be learned. A couple of side items on the episodes, nothing too much that goes on. At the end of the episode, General Schwartz takes Hammer Shadow for his own plan, so it's curious to see what he's going to do with that. I can't wait to see kind of what happens next. But something I kind of caught on with, which I think may relate to Wright and his origin later in the series. So, in the last episode, Wright is wearing a t-shirt that says Florida on it, in plain English. In this episode, he is wearing a shirt that says BKYN, which, as I've done through some research, is not a Thai restaurant, but is abbreviation for Brooklyn, New York. So the question I have is, why would this character wear shirts of two distinct locations that are from America, the United States specifically? Is it possible that Wright is American? I think that might be the case. Because first of all, you can say, oh, they buy shirts that say Florida and Brooklyn and Japan. Well, first of all, I never saw any. And how often do you go out to a store and find a shirt that says Kyoto or Tokyo or anything like that? Heck, this shirt I bought off of the Japanese website. So you don't really encounter that kind of stuff in American or Japanese culture. So the only way that Wright would have actually obtained it is if he or somebody in his close family had been to America and gathered these as souvenirs, got them on trips, or that he actually may be that is his origin. And consider how he's portrayed within the series. I would definitely say that if we go by the idea that Wright is possibly American, he is definitely a bunch of American stereotypes. He's brash, he's impulsive, he's not very intelligent, and he eats all the time. Which I would say are definitely stereotypes of most Americans. So is it possible that with these clues of the clothes that he is wearing, that Wright is American in some way? That would be quite interesting, considering you have his name, that's not really a Japanese name. Everybody else's names are Japanese, but his is not. Yes, it's pronounced Raito, because, you got into a vowel, that's how Japanese is. But is there anybody in Japan named Raito? Really? It doesn't really sound Japanese in that case. So I think his clothing is really kind of giving him away here. And I will also point out, since I recently discovered what a hipster is, it seems to me the other four Rangers are hipsters. Am I wrong in that assumption, or does anybody else seem to agree with that? I don't know. But that's all I really have to say about the episode. Good character piece for Mio. We're going to see what happens with Hammer Shadow. And I would like to see if I'm right about Wright being an American, because the clues are there. That's where they're leading us, right? Oh, well. Thank you guys for listening. We will be back with Station 16, and we'll see how interesting things get. Until then, the tavern is now closed.